welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. I'm Alison Donley, and today is Monday, April 1st.
And I'm Rob Churnside, and I'm very excited about tonight's show.
Yeah, we got a packed show. So we have Dialog with Leadership with Dr. McCarthy. Then we have some students from West Nottingham Academy talking about their sustainability program. And then we have Morgan DeWeese and Sarah Murray from the Cecil County Department of Community Service to talk about the 25th annual Cecil County Caregivers Day. So you'll be talking to them.
Oh, good.
And then we have some coverage from the previous weekend. And Crab Meat Thompson, our musician.
Let's hope Crab Meat makes it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if he knows how to use GPS.
Some of us don't.
But anyway, yeah, I had a busy weekend, as I'm sure you did too. Mm-hmm. Planted a lot of grass seed.
Right.
Got ready to water, and then we had a plumbing emergency, so multiple trips to Lowe's, and Lowe's had an emergency. They closed Lowe's.
What?
Oh,
they have a plumbing emergency too?
No, they had, I think, some kind of chemical spill or fire or something.
Oh, that's worse.
You just never know.
You never know.
So it's good to stock up on everything you need, two of everything you need, and have it at home. Clearly visible at all times.
Well, I buy in
That's
bulk.
what I do. You ever watch Hoarders?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it sounds like a good show. We got some upcoming things too, Allison. For Mother's Day, our old favorite Del Lord wants to do some good old mom songs.
Oh, I can't wait.
And sometime before May 5th, George Walcott, who's been here from the Delaware Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, wants to promote their upcoming event, and I'll just show this. You can't really see it, but it's their 2019 fundraiser with the David Letterman Horn Band.
Oh, cool.
And maybe the Blues Brothers. So he's going to tell us more about that coming up. And finally, one thing I wanted to share with our viewers, I found this. Dan the Man, hauling junk, trash, power washing, everything. I will do anything you don't want to do.
Is this our good neighbor?
Don't you think I had to research this good neighbor to get back to our viewers?
I think maybe you should do some research before we call him a good neighbor.
Yeah, well, let's see what he does and what he charges. I'm going to check into it.
Please do.
So,
also, next week, so as our viewers know, the 2019 legislative session ends on Monday, April 8th. So we will be interviewing Delegate Hornberger this week to talk about just a legislative wrap-up.
Oh, great, great. I hope good things are happening down there. I know one good thing. Our Maryland taxes, everything was kind of a wash this year, which is good. Break even, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, but a lot of places going out and spending that tax check and buying a washer and dryer, I don't know if that's a thing in the past or what.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe our viewers know.
Maybe.
Anyway, your dad, our director, the highly secretive and reclusive Doug Donley,
yes,
whom we hardly ever see on the show,
right,
is going to start, guess what?
What?
He's going to start a cooking show right here.
What?
What, didn't you tell me about what he just made?
He just made this great anchovy garlic sauce.
Well, I think that inspired him because he wants to do a show right here with a stove, a range, open flame.
Yeah.
He's going to go out and collect roadkill and show our viewers how to really make a tasty dish out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great idea. Yeah. April Fools. And now for the news. April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and the Maryland State Police are reminding motorists just how dangerous it can be on the road if you're not paying attention to your surroundings. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration defines distracted driving as any activity that diverts attention from driving, including using your phone, eating and drinking, talking to people in your vehicle, and/or adjusting the stereo, entertainment, or navigation systems. With more than 185 deaths and 27,000 injuries in Maryland being attributed to distracted driving each year, Maryland troopers are increasing enforcement and efforts to educate the public. Last year, Maryland state troopers issued almost 3,000 citations and over 2,500 warnings during Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Governor Larry Hogan has released a report on the state's participation in the U.S. Climate Alliance. The United States Climate Alliance is a bipartisan group of 40 states and territories committed to meeting their obligations under the Paris Climate Agreement, while continuing to grow their economies. Alliance members have committed to the reduction of greenhouse gases, making progress toward adoption of zero-emissions vehicles, and making changes to increase resiliency to the effects of climate change, such as rising seas. In a letter to the Alliance's executive director that accompanied the report, Governor Hogan states that Maryland will meet its goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 20% in 2020 and is working on a comprehensive plan to meet the goal of a 40% reduction by 2030. In local developments, the Maryland Department of Commerce announced that global food producer Smithfield Foods will be opening a 420,000 square foot distribution center in Principio Business Park. Kenneth Sullivan, President and Chief Executive Officer for Smithfield Foods, said this new distribution center is an essential part of our efforts to streamline our national logistics network to optimize our operations while advancing our ambitious sustainability goals. Founded in 1936, Smithfield Foods and its subsidiaries produce and market fresh and packaged meat products in the United States and internationally. The new distribution center is expected to create 240 new jobs. We'll be back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sam Charles. For 30 years, I have been practicing functional medicine and gentle chiropractic. Helton Chiropractic Neurology is dedicated to enhancing whole body rejuvenation, whether or not you are afflicted with injury or disease. We utilize a structural, neurologic, metabolic, nutritional, and energetic approach to restoring your body to its full potential.
After coming to Dr. Charles, I'm better than I was before.
You deserve to feel good and to have an active lifestyle, so why not call Helton Chiropractic Neurology today?
On Saturday, March 30th, the Cecil County Farm Museum hosted their annual Plow Day at the Orr Farm in Rising Sun. This event is a demonstration of old-fashioned plowing methods, such as the moldboard plow that many modern people might not be familiar with.
It's nice to dig the plows out of the weeds and kind of bring back memories of what you used to see when you were growing up or actually did it.
The event aims to educate the public about and keep the culture of farming life alive in Cecil County and offers an opportunity for farmers and their families to enjoy time together. Plow Day represents the beginning of spring to members of the Farm Museum. Many young people are seen driving tractors with older family members.
Well, as long as there's a place to plow, I'm sure there's guys that are going to want to do it because you have a lot of enthusiasts on their antique tractors. Most of them, they sit in the garage most of the year, but if there's something like this to come out to and be able to run their tractors and use them, that's their passion, that's their fun.
The County Farm Museum Plow Day isn't just about showing off antique tractors. It is a way for the general public to see in person the work that goes into bringing food from farm to table.
Education of where the general public's or the public's food comes from. A lot of people are unaware of what it takes to get that crop, call it a crop, or your fruit or vegetables from the ground to your table.
Those interested in joining the Cecil County Farm Museum can contact info@ccfarmmuseum.org. Check out their website at ccfarmmuseum.org or send mail to 820 Appleton Road, Elkton, Maryland, 21921. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. Here we are again at Dialog with Leadership with Dr. Alan McCarthy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, as a matter of fact.
So last week you presented your 2020 budget. Give us some of the highlights.
The highlights are it's the third consecutive budget we've had that's been balanced without the use of unassigned fund balance, which means that we pay as we go, and basically we're not borrowing any money from any other funds in order to make it work. Highlights of the budget are we basically increased funding for public schools about $2.4 million, which is roughly 3% over what they got last year, so they would be receiving approximately $85 million from the county. Last year they got roughly $82 million. We increased the budget for Cecil County libraries by 5.7% in order to basically give them enough money that they can move forward, hire new personnel for the new library that eventually put into Northeast. We've also given an increase of $361,000, which is a little over 3%, to Cecil Community College, and they're moving forward with that. Other than that, the major other things we did were we provided funding to basically keep a highly trained and skilled workforce, and basically we attended to their health needs by giving a 5.8% budget there.
And we've also got some new positions in the county.
Yes, we do. We basically added new positions for animal control. I think there's 2.5 positions there. I basically allocated resources to the state's attorney's office to get a new prosecuting attorney and a paralegal to assist with this ongoing opioid crisis, which has caused tremendous increases in crime throughout Cecil County. The other major things is basically be paramedics or EMS people for emergency services. We have a hard time keeping those people because our wage scale has not been competitive with other neighboring counties. Those are the highlights of the budget. There's probably some other things I can't think of off the top of my head, but if they show up and I think of them, I'll let you know. But those are major issues.
And do you expect it to be smooth sailing?
Yes, I do. Yes, I expect to be smooth sailing. Now that you mention it, we have 2 enterprise funds too. Which one is wastewater enterprise fund, and that's doing well. We're closing the gap between what we owed and what we didn't. Well, we're closing the gap on what we've been borrowing, so that's good. And the other one, the solid waste fund, is basically in excellent condition. We've not had to basically do anything with it. It's in sound financial footing.
Okay.
So basically, I'm really excited about what's going on. I think that Cecil County is well prepared now and also going into the future. We grew the revenues by over $6.8 million this past year. And in terms of employment, many times people ask me, you've grown the government. No, we haven't. Basically, we have the same number of employees now that we had when I started.
So in thinking about the county's future, one thing that I know you're very concerned with is the county's water and sewage plan.
Yes,
And there's been some contention recently over conflicts between Rising Sun's proposed water service plan and the county's comprehensive plan.
That's correct.
Do you think any compromise can be reached between the town and the county?
At this particular time, I would have to say no. Right now, what Rising Sun wants to do is in total conflict with our comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan has been in place since 1962, is updated in 74, 1990, and 2010. Their plan has to basically correspond and basically be included in our comprehensive plan, and theirs doesn't basically do that. What they would like to do is they basically want to take water distribution outside of the town limits, which is totally against what our comprehensive plan states. All the areas surrounding Rising Sun, other than the town itself, are basically RCD district, which is Rural Conservation District, and it's really not allowed to distribute water there. We have a defined growth corridor, which is basically along Route 40, essentially from Delaware to Perryville area. And it's not in that area up there. That area is basically for farming and agricultural purposes. So based on that, I can't do it. There is a possibility that I could basically deliver water outside of the town limits for health purposes.
Public health
But
reasons.
that doesn't exist out there, at least according to our environmental scientist at the health department. There's no need for that.
Do you think over time there's potential for compromise?
Most certainly there is. These plans are basically redefined every 10 years. So basically at the next time that they do this, I mean, they can move forward with special needs or basically an amendment to the current existing plan to allow them to do that. But as we currently speak, they have 300 acres that they could infill, basically build in, and plus they can annex more properties into the existing town, provided the properties are contiguous with the town limits. So basically, they have lots of room to expand.
So the county council votes on that tomorrow, April 2nd.
I guess that'd be the master water and sewer plan.
Earlier, you touched on the opioid crisis as something that cost the county a lot of money, of course. But there have been positive developments in the progress of litigation against opiate manufacturers. Can you give us an update?
The most recent update I can give you is that it's been expanded to include many of the pharmaceutical companies which distribute the drugs, for example, CVS, Rite Aid. I'm not saying necessarily those companies, but retail outlets basically been included into the litigation because they've been involved by not basically following rules and regulations concerning the distribution of drugs. So basically that's been expanded. Just recently, Oklahoma won a judgment for $270 million from Purdue Pharmaceuticals.
Right.
My biggest concern is a lot of these companies are going to go bankrupt because they just don't have the resources to pay these bills. And I think some of them are purposely being put into bankruptcy so they won't have to pay. So this is an ongoing thing. Hopefully this time next year we'll have a very good feel for where we stand in terms of litigation. The litigation will essentially be a very global litigation, very much like the tobacco settlement, where they'll basically allocate X number of dollars or millions of dollars over X number of years to be distributed between the counties, states, and other municipalities.
Okay. So
it's a big, big issue.
Yeah.
And it's impacted lots and lots of people so far. We've already had 14 people overdose and die in Cecil County just this year.
Yeah. We talked about the budget. We talked about the water and sewer plans and the opioid crisis. Are there any other updates?
Yes. Smithfield Hams is basically going to locate the new Smithfield Foods, not Hams. It's going to locate a new facility in Principio Industrial Park. I'm really excited about it.
240 jobs,
That's
I believe
correct,
I read?
Yes.
Okay.
We have lots of very interesting things going on and a lot more coming.
Yeah, well, I look forward to having you back to talk about
Well,
it.
thank you. I like coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Our very own West Nottingham Academy in Calora goes above and beyond to reduce methane emissions and promote sustainability here in Maryland. Students from West Nottingham and the Student Environmental Council are here to talk about it tonight. We've got Jayla, Ariana, and Ethan, who are junior and sophomore at West Nottingham. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So, Jayla, tell us about the Student Environmental Council.
So the Student Environmental Council is essentially a group of students on campus that lead the charge in
in the sustainability program at West Nottingham.
On campus. So we lead the composting and recycling on campus, taking charge and lead on that, as well as promoting the ethic on campus of, it's not just something we do on campus, it's something you can take with you throughout your life.
Right, you guys do a ton of outreach in the locally and statewide, as we'll get to later. How has that program grown over time?
So just recently we have introduced the Student Environmental Council. So I was part of the first inaugural group. This year we are doing more outreach into the local community through our partnership with Kilby Farm, which we'll be talking about more in depth later, as well as a few partnerships through Delegate Castley, one of the delegates in Maryland as well.
Very cool. So one of the ways that you guys do outreach is through a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so since West Nottingham Academy puts great effort into shaping us as the students into good, environmentally aware citizens, students, these podcasts are just a way for us to come together as a community and just generate a conversation and express ourselves, just generate ideas. So you can find our podcasts online, and we have 3 of them planned for this year.
Cool. And
3 for next year. So we are generating different ideas, and everyone around the world can listen to them.
That's so cool. What is it called?
So we have we've had one podcast, and it's called Climate Change in 140 Characters, and it discussed social media and climate change. So how they're interconnected, and do people talk about them on social media or do they not? And the next one, the upcoming one, is next week, next Monday, and it's called Those Who Can Teach Climate Change. So it will be a podcast for teachers, for our faculty members, to just discuss their ideas on this topic.
Okay, so if I wanted to go and listen to it, what would I know that I can go on Spotify or Stitcher or whatever?
Yes, anywhere you could.
What do I search for? Like, what is the title to search for, the keyword?
You can listen to our West Nottingham Academy's podcasts.
Okay, cool. All right. So we touched briefly on this partnership that West Nottingham has with Kilby Cream Dairy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and all of us. So the partnership we have with Kilby Cream and Mr. Kilby himself, we established a couple years back, and that started as just a way to get milk in glass bottles, so reducing our carbon footprint via eliminating plastic bottles. But it eventually grew so to the point where now we take all of our food scraps and we give them to the farm, and they send that through their methane digester to run the farm. And so that's part of the partnership. And as the years have progressed, we've been doing more and more with them. We've created an outdoor classroom with them. So some of our students go over to Kilby Farm and learn about the methane digester, learn about that process, how biologically that relates, agriculturally that relates to everything we're learning. And more about the partnership. We just went down recently to Annapolis to testify with Mr. Kilby himself on 2 House bills.
Yeah, how did that, I mean, I want to hear about the House bills, but how did that happen?
Well, we just got a request from Mr. Kilby. He works with a bunch of different people, and he was on these 2 bills talking about them trying to make anaerobic digestion, the thing that breaks down food waste and turns it into reusable energy.
Okay.
He wanted our students to come speak about that because that's directly what we're doing at WNA. So House Bills 510 and 511 were what we talked about, and one is about the transportation of food scraps and food waste, and making sure that if you say you're going to take food waste to the landfill to compost, you have to actually do it. So you can't just say, we're a company that will take your compost to compost, because some companies say that, but then they just take it to the landfill.
Oh, okay.
And so deception on their part, and we're trying to get rid of that. And we also want to have landfills be able to have a place to compost it. So not just saying, well, we can't take it to the landfill because they don't have a place to compost. So all landfills, would need to have a place to take in that compost as well. And the second bill that we were testifying with was on, so our first bill was on transportation of the food waste. And our second bill was trying to make anaerobic digestion, the thing that breaks down food waste, into something that's more economically viable. So saying that we can digestate the solid that's made from the whole process and be able to market that as mulch and other facets to make it, something more profitable for the farmers.
Right.
Because right now
exactly.
Because right now our partnership is just basically a handshake agreement with the Kilby Farm, which is great. But if we want to expand this, we should really move forward with making it profitable for other farms if they don't have a school or other public domain, nearby.
Right. And we still have a few days left of session, but it sounds like you.
Oh yeah, things are going great. Yep, yeah. So all it has to do now is go to the Senate, and we have good hopes for that. So
great.
Things are great.
So really quickly, I know you guys have a couple of events coming up. You have on a national webinar on the 17th.
Yeah, April 17th.
Yes.
So that's you guys and
Mr. Kilby.
Mr. Kilby
Yep.
putting that on for who's the intended audience?
Anybody nationwide, really, anybody concerned. It's just a website. Anybody can log in, completely free if you want to, and you just sit in. We'll be talking about that. As I understand it, the audience will be able to engage. I could be wrong on that.
Oh,
but
ask questions.
Yeah. So, and
cool.
We have a second thing going on April 22nd. We have a speaker.
April 23rd.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Ron Webb, and he's from the Hip Hop Caucus, and he will be coming to talk to our students about environmental justice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome to meet you guys, and you guys are doing such awesome work. And I need to stop using the word awesome, but thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
And now 30 at 6, Cecil County in the world. With spring comes all kinds of great activities, including one coming up in Cecil County. We have Sarah Murray and Morgan DeWeese here to tell us about the 25th annual Cecil County Caregiver Conference, and it's called
Share the Care.
Share the Care. What is Share the Care all about?
So Share the Care is a coordination of efforts between agencies in Cecil County to bring together caregiver resources for caregivers in the county. We hope to educate lay caregivers, so individuals providing care to their loved ones, as well as professional caregivers. So what we've done is in our care committee, made up of the Department of Community Services, Amedisys Home Health, Elkton Nursing and Rehab, Aging Life Guides, Union Hospital, adult day services. We all come together and we plan this conference. So it's our 25th annual conference to service caregivers in the county.
That sounds great because I know caregivers need a lot of help. When is that?
It is April 9th.
April 9th. Okay, at Singerly Fire Hall, right?
Yes.
And got my interest. Lunch will be served.
Yes, hot turkey dinner.
Yum. Yum. I know it's not easy being a caregiver. I met a friend of mine, an old colleague of mine in the store the other day who said she had a list, she was buying stuff, and she said her husband had been laid up for several years and she has to do, quote unquote, everything. So caregivers need some help. What kind of help is going to be made available to caregivers? I guess they may have someone that need to get someone to watch their loved one when they go to the conference.
Yeah, so there actually is respite care provided for individuals who need that through our partnership with Adult Services at Union Hospital. If they need to have somebody take care of their loved one during the conference, we can coordinate that for them as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's not a drawback.
Right.
And I know they'll be getting a lot of information and support. And are there support groups for caregivers?
Yes, so I can speak. I work for the Cecil County Department of Community Services. Morgan is my supervisor in the Aging and Disability Resource Center, but I work specifically for the Family Caregiver Support Program. So my job in our agency is to be able to provide support for Cecil County caregivers, and I can do that kind of advocacy and be able to refer. We have right now a big support group with Union Hospital's adult daycare program, and we are also looking at expanding our caregiver program to start a new support group, so look out for more information for that for our Cecil County caregivers.
And the adult daycare program is over by Redner's now, right?
Yes.
It's moved. Yeah. Looks really big and nice.
It is really nice inside. The services are phenomenal. It's a good program.
Okay, so let's walk us through the day. It starts at 8:30 on April 9th at Singerly Fire Hall. If you're a family caregiver, it's free, right?
It is.
Free of charge.
Including the lunch.
Yes.
And lunch, and there are giveaways, so we have door prizes, so our vendors donate a door prize to provide kind of like some self-care for the caregivers, so you have a chance of winning prizes. I'm hoping to have over 40 vendors, so there's giveaways there, so there's information, there's services. It's really a very good event.
That sounds great. I'm just looking, there's Miss Yolanda Wright from the Alzheimer's Association is going to talk about sensory changes.
Yes.
That's good. I mean, Alzheimer's creeps up on people, correct?
And the idea with that particular training is the small changes that a person goes through when they're experiencing Alzheimer's that maybe they may not be able to acknowledge or realize, but maybe a loved one does. You know, I think that the kind of quintessential joke is like you put your keys in the fridge, which it is a joke, but it is a sign of something that could be going on. So the idea being with this particular training that we're educating people on what are things to look for, what are things to kind of catalog, and when you need to have your family physician brought in.
Right. Well, that's important stuff. Because if something goes unnoticed, you can't address it.
Right.
Jean Moran, community member, volunteer, is going to talk about walking in my shoes. What's that about?
So Jean Moran is a lay caregiver. She's been a caregiver in the community for a very long time. I think she's going to be somebody that a lot of our family caregivers are going to be able to relate to. She's going to be somebody that's experiencing a lot of the challenges that come along with caring for your loved one day in and day out. She's going to be able to kind of share those experiences. So I think people are going to be able to not only relate to her, but also look to her for guidance. So she's going to be able to kind of give some guidance, talk about the hardships that kind of go along in that journey, and she's always available for questioning afterwards too. I think a good thing is all of our speakers at this event are always great at following up as well.
That sounds great. One more that I noticed, Miss Denise Barton-Schuler, Assistive Technology Specialist with the Maryland TAP, or Technology Assistance Program.
Yes. So I've seen Denise speak several times. She is a phenomenal speaker. She has an interest and a desire to educate people on assistive technology. So she likes to do a little quiz about what is assistive technology. Do you know what that is? She brings technology with her, so she'll have her smartphone. She'll talk about some apps that can help caregivers. She'll talk about cheap ways of kind of working around any adaptations that need to be done. She's a very dynamic speaker, and she also will talk about the services that a person may be eligible for as well. So it's not just here are some options, it's here are some options and here are some ways to pay for those options.
And maybe here are some options you never even considered or heard of.
Exactly, yes. And she has some, like I said, some cheap tricks on how to do those things. You know, go to Lowe's for this instead of paying markup through another company.
Well, that sounds great. $15 for professionals. Who would fall under the category of a professional?
Anyone that's currently working as a caregiver. Basically, if you are working for a home health agency, if you are employed by the county or the state or the hospital system, anyone who is not providing direct care to their loved ones.
Well, chances are, if you work in that capacity, your employer might want to invest a little bit in helping you upgrade your skills.
Absolutely.
That sounds awesome. April 9th, Singerly Fire Hall, 8:30 to 2 p.m. What did we miss? Anything?
So one thing I would definitely want to mention, that is, if you'd like to find all of this information, you can go to our new Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Cecil Care, and that's care with an extra A.
That's C-A-A-R-E.
Yes.
Clever.
And there's one more thing I did also want to mention. We are doing a special training during all of this. Jonathan from Cecil Transit, who is one of our sister agencies through the Department of Community Services, he'll be there. We'll have one of the Cecil Transit buses available for people to go out, see the wheelchair lift, and kind of get a little bit of education. We also can schedule travel training. So that's something that people don't realize in the community. Sometimes if a person's uncomfortable or unfamiliar with how to utilize public transportation, Cecil Transit can provide training on how to do that.
Yes, and we see their vehicles all over the place.
They are expanding, yes.
I mean, they come down the back roads and everything.
They are trying to service every resident in Cecil County, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And one more thing I noticed.
Yep.
Check the Cecil County website for more information.
Yep, so that's where we have the link to directly register is on the Cecil County website. And also, if you do go to the Facebook page, you can register through Facebook as well.
Well, it sounds like a winner to me. You don't want to miss it, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.